So good morning and good afternoon to everyone. Let's start today with this call. I put the agenda in the invitation in the calendar, so you must have seen already, but just in case, today, well, we have this antitrust compliance policy, but I see that today the majority of you already know it, so I will jump directly into the agenda for today. So I'm going to update a little bit where we are with the SR coordination, the participations, the MOU signatures, and new applicants that has expressed interest in joining the group. In terms of work plan implementation, what is proposed for the next couple of months, what is being prepared for Boston. If we have time, some updates on the fisheries, but I will go really briefly here because I'm going to update during the Boston meeting. So I don't consider big importance of this. Just one point to discuss about the FIP in China that I had a really interesting conversation this morning. And I also advanced that in Barcelona Seafood Expo Global, we are going to host an event also around squid. So Antonio from Grupo Profan is joining. I will wait a couple of minutes. Hello, Antonio. I was just advancing the agenda for today. So just 1 minute so you can have a look. It's going to be a quick meeting. I know that many of you are also very busy with Boston coming, so Boston Seafood North America coming. So yes, I'm going to update on what is the most important things that I consider. So first of all, we have around 10 companies that have already signed the MOU. So, and by the end of this week, there are a few companies that have still not signed, but has requested a couple of more days because the signatories are going to be traveling these days. So I expand a little bit well, we were supposed to update the website next week. So during all this week, you will be able to sign the MOU. For those that just a reminder that the MOU is going to be signed for electronic signature. So through DocuSign, you provide me with the emails of the signatories. So just in case, review the spam inbox because I believe that my colleague Annie has already sent the majority of the MOUs to all of you. So yeah, just had a look just in case. With that, I am going to update the website accordingly with the list of companies that have joined during the deadline proposed. And also I would like to do like a symbolic, not signature, but just present who are these companies during the SR meeting and present the MOU and an update on what has been done last year and next year. But I will talk more about this in the next slide. We have also updated the website. The resource library is always being updated with new information that came into the public domain. I don't know if since the last time we talked, we have uploaded any, no, we have not uploaded, we uploaded in January, sorry, end of January. So we are going to upload as soon as there are new information in the public domain. Regarding new applicants, so we have 3 companies that have shown interest in joining the SR and that are going to implement some new procurement policies, so aligned with the SR work, with the current work that the participant companies are already doing. Confremar and Union Martin, both are Spanish companies operating in the US market as well. Both are Global Octopus Supply Chain Roundtables participants and also working with SFP and collaborating with us since a few years. So as you remember, there was one point within the MOU about public involvement in any human rights or IUU practices or bad practices, and as we know, they have not been involved in any report or any of their suppliers. They have done a review. We have proposed them to do some review of the documents that were in the resource library. Apparently, there are no reasons to have any suspicious behavior, at least for now. So if there are no objections, we can proceed to send them the MOU for signature. So as you know, also there are like 30 days to put objections. So I don't know if any of you have something to say about these companies or know them or has any in the next days. You can just send me an email as is established in the MOU if there is any objection, and we can study and do more research. If there are no objections, they automatically are going to become participants. There is another company, FCF Taiwan, that has shown interest but has not applied yet for becoming a participant. Then in that case, there has been, someone has sent me a public report about this, about their potential involvement in some human rights or IUU issues. So this is something that I would like to review if they finally apply or not, and something that is going to be put also commented here, so companies can put objections, participants can object or not its participation, and if there are objections, we can just decide if we're going into a votation to accept them as SR participants or not. With that, I have to say that the voice and the final decision is on the SR participants. SFP is not, at least that there is really something that has not been raised or there are no proofs. SFP is not going to audit companies or is not going to be the police of the group. SFP is just the secretariat and the coordinator. So yeah, we expect that if there are objections, so companies can just do these claims directly to me or SFP. Continuing with the MOU and the governance process and what we agreed to do, as you know, we had a chair, which was Sarah Hassey from Sea Farms, who went into maternity leave. She's back in summer, I believe. And we decided also to have another chair, to have two chairs. So just in case when one of them is not available to participate actively, and also because we wanted to cover the US and the European market. Now, having two chairs today, we have a really good representation from both markets. Let's see what happens with Japan in the future. So we have decided that would be great to have two chairs. So recently, Stefano from Panapesca, who also knows very well the market in Europe and in US, proposed us to become the chair. So he has offered voluntary. For us, for SFP, we believe that is a really good, it could be like a really good thing having him as a representative. He knows very well. He has been in the SR since the very beginning with the launch of the first FIPS, and he knows very well the global supply chains, the European and the US market. So I open now if there is any objection or someone does not agree with this decision, or if you agree, I just propose you to use the small icons that are in the menu, or if someone don't agree, just put in the chat box. Or if someone else wants to say something, you can open your mic. This is going to be a rotative position. So we expect that when Sarah is going to come back, then in a couple of years, or if at some point Sarah or Stefano can continue with this role, another one could take his place. Okay, so I don't see specific objections in the chat box or... Okay. Okay, so Stefano, do you want to say something? I believe that you are going to become the chair. Sorry for that. You are going to have
you know,
work.
it was good that nobody was against that, but I kind of knew that Victor was for sure positive, because he was the first one to propose me a couple of years ago.
Okay. Yeah,
anyway, you know, I am always more and more involved in these things, so I thought it was something that I could do to support, and then somebody else will do it next time.
Yeah, and basically the role of the chair is also described in the MOU, so there is no like specific benefits for the chair or any extra recognition. Is just for coordination purposes, as also for the continuity of the group and having some input from someone of the industry, and also to not having always SFP in the front of the meetings, having someone from the industry that is able to represent the group. So, well, so thank you, Stefano. Thank you, all of you, for accepting. Now, good news. So we have been back and forth on how the participant companies of supply chain roundtables in general could use a logo to indicate that they are collaborating or they are participating in a supply chain roundtable. As you know, the use of the SFP logo is only for partners. So we have been working with comms, with the comms teams and the marketing team of SFP to find a solution for the companies that are participating in one or more supply chain roundtables. So we have finally decided to create a logo that is going to be offered for companies that are participating in one or more global or more supply chain roundtables. So you don't need to use a logo for the octopus, for the squid, for the, I don't know, mahi. So if you are participating in many SRs, you can use the logo indicating, I will also show you the guidelines. But the good news is that you can use this logo. The logo is also, it needs to be used upon renewal each year, because we know that maybe in the future a company decides to not participate in an SR in particular, or we renew annual contributions, or we renew participation criteria. So we have decided that the SR logo must be linked to the renewal at the participant list within SFP. There is no really big things to consider, so we have drafted some guidelines. I will share with you the documents so you can review internally, but I just put here the contents of this document. So as I said, it's intended to be used by companies listed at the SFP website. It does not require pre-approval by SFP. So again, we just trust that companies using this logo are going to follow the guidelines and are going to comply with what we are proposing and the rules for its use. Is not an eco label, and it expires when you are not longer SR participants, and we are going to send you each year the logo. We are going to update the logo you can use. These are the claims that you can do also with the logo. You can, and this is basically the text that can go with the logo in your websites. In any case, can go into packagings or products or with other brochures or materials. It's really to communicate that you are SR participant. In any case, if you have any question or you want to have further guidance, don't hesitate in contacting me, and with the recap of the meeting, I will send the document. I don't know if you have any comment or any. Okay, so basically good news. You have, we have all good news for me as well. We have all a logo that we can use for communicating about the SR. Okay, so a quick review of the work plan activities that were more short term. So I'm not going to do a big review of all the work plan, but more the most immediate activities that we are working on. So we have already 6 companies reporting information into metrics. I know that some of you has recently requested some trainings and one-to-one calls to follow up on metrics. So please, I just need a bit of time during the next during this week and next week. So after Boston, we can resume the work with the data entry, and I can help you to put all the information into metrics. And with that, let's see if by the end of March, beginning of April, let's see, first quarter, we can run the first reports. So it is important. The information that has been already provided is very useful, I have to say. We have better idea of what companies are purchasing and where do you have influence. So it's really, really good, really positive, the feedback that we are having from you all, and in particular those that have already reported the purchases from 2022. In the case of all this work related to transparency, traceability, what are the tools that the SR could use? So what we are, I'm in conversations with different experts and different organizations who have due diligence schemes and risk assessment tools. So we believe that not only having like an analysis, a deliverable or just something to read, but maybe organizing a series of webinars in the next months with all the experts that are running these tools to show you what is available outside, and then doing this analysis and the alignment with international conventions and agreements. First conversations are now with Pew, with Hugh Thomas, who worked with Pew and also has been involved in the Stanford tool developed in the IUU, in the risk assessment tool developed by Stanford and Global Fishing Watch, which is in the next phase. So probably Hugh Thomas is going to be able to provide a webinar beginning of April with the PAS 1550 tool. And Hugh Thomas has also offered to any company that would be interested in piloting this tool, he would be able to run these pilots. So I can put you in touch with him. I know that there are companies that have already done this pilot, other companies that are already in the pilot today. So it's a really good exercise to understand what is the data collection framework needed and how to do all this analysis with a third party tool. And I hope that he will be able to provide a good webinar. Then there are other tools, for example, Fishwire is also doing really good work. So we may ask them to come and to do a webinar. Some of you that are on CPAC probably has also this knowledge about this tool. So the idea is having the most updated information on the tools and risk assessment schemes, to then having this comparative analysis, something that we can give to all of you, a report, and then decide as a group if there is one specific scheme or tool better for the squid, or any of the tools is potentially useful. What should be the continuity of that? Each company decide on which tool use, or we go all together with the same scheme. This is something that we can have a look when we have done all these webinars and this analysis. The idea is providing you with the best information and the best tools. So this will be something like similar with what we did in the past with this expert that provides with a really good report and some recommendations, and then decide. And then another piece of work that is more on the SFP side, on my side, more than you, as you remember, and as you know, the majority of the end buyers, especially retailers and food service, have sometimes procurement policies a bit focused on MSC or GSSI certifications, but also FIPS. And we believe that maybe these procurement policies or these strict schemes are not appropriate always for a squid procurement. That is why we developed these recommendations for procurement of a squid that are based more in risks and in fisheries profiles. So what we are doing is basically trying to do educational webinars to these retailers and end buyers in these markets in US, in UK, and rest of Europe, to make them understand that we know that there can be some sourcing that is MSC, but it's not going to be the rule for the majority of the squid production. So we have done a webinar last week for US retailers advancing and food service advancing Boston Senna. We have had that really good participation, and they have shown really interest in how to implement the recommendations that we have drafted. So basically this work is to support and to provide you with visibility and recognition, especially in the markets or with the clients that are a little bit lost in terms of squid or raw materials that are not really aligned with the typical MSC commitment. I don't know if any of you have any comment of this, or for example, that you have a client that is asking, or a customer that is asking for MSC always or FIP, and you are not able to respond to this always to these requirements, especially for this also happens for octopus and for other raw materials. So okay. So this is where we are. There is another piece of work related to the fisheries profiles updates. So we are just doing, so many of the profiles of the squid profiles have been updated recently in 2021 or 2022 with the most updated information. So we are continuously doing review of the information that is available outside, and also with the work we do with the fisheries and the managers and the countries to see when the profiles can be updated. And also now we are going to have a more in-depth look to the profiles to be really well aligned with the recommendations that we have provided, to be sure that you have all the information up to date in these profiles. For example, now that the South Pacific RFMO has established new conservation measures, this is directly going to impact all the profiles related to Dosidicus gigas for the stock assessments, for the management rules, and both for high seas fisheries, but also for coastal fisheries. And we are going to have a look where are the profiles that can have some gaps and how this can work to achieve the medium or low risk when a fishery is in the high risk category. So we are going to do this review, and this is something that we are going to provide with information updated, and this is something that is going also to be exported from the metrics reports with all this analysis of the fisheries in place. So I believe we are not bad in time and in timing with the work plan implementation and the activities that we committed. Jeff, I've just seen your question in the chat. So the logo, I'm going to share the logo and the guidelines today or tomorrow, so you can start using that. And also for Boston, so I jump into the Boston show. We have also created a logo that can be used during the show. And this logo, this badge, sorry, proud to work with SFP, is also available upon request. So tomorrow you may have been receiving the email to use that badge that you can use in your booths or to communicate that you work with us, but only during the Boston Seafood North American show, and then we are going to create a new one for Barcelona. And for each seafood show where SFP is going to be around, you can use this logo, which means that if you want, you can also jump into the SFP booth where we are hosting many events. I'm going to share with you the link to all the events that are going to be hosted. And this year we have a new location, a bigger booth. So yes, just jump to say hello. This is more in terms of communications, what you can do in the next weeks with the logo of the SR, but also with the badge that SFP has created for you to use during the show.
Yeah, thanks, Carmen. That's perfect. Thank you. We'll see you there.
Perfect. And for the SR meeting, so I'm working on the agenda, but basically the agenda is the idea is recapping on what was presented last year with the public statement that was signed by the previous IUU working group, how this idea has evolved into the new strategy. So this is basically what I want to present during the meeting in Boston, where many NGOs like Monterey Bay Aquarium, Fishwise, Seafood Legacy from Japan, and other organizations has confirmed participation. So this is important because, as you know, there are not many organizations, I would say any organization that is involved in markets engagement and supply chains and squid. So the idea is just to promote also the recommendations for procurement of a squid. What does it mean? How the strategy is going to be implemented, and depending on the participants. So if we see that the meeting is more on SR participants, the meeting is open to anyone. So you can also share the invitation. I will send today as well, today or tomorrow, another reminder with all the information of the meeting that you can share with your customers. I believe it is important to have them in the room if they are in the show, if they are at the floor. And we have, the idea is having like 45-50 minutes of presentation and meeting, and then having half an hour in the meeting room to exchange and to connect, or to have Q&A sessions or one-to-one exchange. And then I will also going to update on the initiatives and recent achievements in different fisheries. This year, the meeting, for those that have attended in the past, are not going the SR meetings, and if you are attending other meetings like Octopus or Mahi or Indonesian Snapper Grouper, or with my colleagues, or Shrimp SR, this year the meetings are going to be at the convention center. So they are not going to be hosting the Westin Hotel, so to make easy the participation. The meetings are not organized in the framework of the conference program, so you don't need a badge for the conference program. It's open for participation. I believe that's all for Boston. I don't know if you have any question. Katie, you mentioned that, yes, we have already sent the MOU for signatures. I'll check again that if you have received it or not. Okay. Just have a look to the spam inbox, and I will follow up with the sender in SFP with my colleague Annie, who is sending everything. Okay, so if there are no other comments, we can jump into the fisheries update. For any reason, the slide has disappeared. Let me check. Can you see the slide now? Yeah. Okay, I don't know. There is, for any reason, there is a this slide.
We see the slide that says Fisher's update.
Okay, good. Because for any reason in the presentation is blank. Okay, so I can just have.
I can see that.
Okay, so we have really briefly, we have the jumbo flying squid. So jumbo flying squid, you know that there is this big big fishery in high seas. So the most important conservation measure adopted is to freeze to limit the fishing, having fishing limitation for fleets of Taiwan, China, and Korea. That means that they can't increase the number of vessels operating in the high seas. And also what is important is that this limitation is impacting the high seas fisheries. It's not impacting the coastal waters because now, as you know, in Peru, in the Peruvian region, there is a process of formalization. So new vessels are entering into are getting the permits for licenses. So the limitation is going to impact on the fleets in the high seas, and the number of vessels is going to be established by the number of vessels that were operating in 2020. So these countries has to comply with the South Pacific RFMO rules. There has not been big agreements around observers coverage, but we believe that maybe next year is the time for that. The Peruvian, so now if we go into the Peruvian FIP, CAPECAL, who is the organization who is coordinating the FIP and who is involved in the processing plants in Peru, is strengthening also the criteria, the participation criteria. More than strengthening is establishing better coordination within the FIP, and they are going to host an event during the Barcelona Seafood Expo Global to present what they are doing. This is going to impact directly, and this is going to be aligned with the formalization process and having better traceability to the FIP participants and to the fleets in general that are operating in Peru. For the Chile jumbo flying squid, we are in the process of reviewing the fish source profile, because we believe that even if there is no FIP or is not in a process of becoming certified or in an initiative, in an improvement effort, publicly know the fish source profile is in a really good shape. So we believe that maybe it could go into a medium risk profile, even low risk if the indicators are updated. So we will keep an eye on the Chile profile if there is anything from the SR to do to improve these indicators. The Argentine short-fin squid. So I'm sorry, because for any reason the presentation is blank. I had some information, but it's not moving. But well, any case, Argentine short-fin squid, the Ilex argentinus, the second most important squid fishery. So there are this initiative, this FIP that was launched last year. Unfortunately, the FIP is active but has not been published in Fishery Progress yet. I talked to Fishery Progress. We have sent a request for them to make the profile public as soon as possible, but apparently they has been in a retreat. Some people has been on vacation, so it's more a delay related to Fishery Progress operation than a delay with the information of the FIP. Pedro, my colleague Pedro Ferreiro, that you already know, has been in Argentina, is now in Falklands Islands. He has been in Argentina, in Chile, so they are organizing a field trip to these countries. He has been in touch with the FIP. He has had a meeting as well. So with all the summary and the conclusion of his tour with my colleague Renato as well, I will do a short recap during the Boston meeting. What is happening in Falkland Islands? So in Falkland Islands, as I presented you in the last meeting, there is one FIP, a FIP coordinated by the Taiwanese fleet that has permits from Falkland Islands to fish in coastal waters. There is a basic FIP there, but the last week, someone from Falklands has informed me that there is a small fleet of vessels, of 5 vessels, I believe, that has entered into full assessment. into MSc full assessment. It has been published in MSc last week in the MSc website. Let's see, we believe that all these initiatives, these 3 initiatives, are good steps for the sustainability of the and for the future sustainability of the ILEX, but the reality is that there is still not an agreement for the full stock. There is no regional stock assessment. So one of the most important thing, and something that the SR participants we would like to support the idea, is of having a regional stock assessment who really will be able to define the health of the stock and the future health of the stock, because today these are like independent and stock assessment on these stocks or in these certifications units. So this is all very recent. So let's see in the future how this move forward. And then you may remember the Shantu Squid FIP that became inactive last year, well, in October, because of the lack of reporting, of lack of progress. So today and in the last couple of months, we have been in conversations with the new coordinator, who is based in between Japan and China. He took over the coordination of the FIP when the FIP became inactive. It was not his fault, because when he reported, it was already too late. So the problem of this FIP is not reactivating the FIP itself, is the continuity of the FIP. And if the FIP is going to be implemented accordingly with the work plan, if the FIP is going to have financial support and also recognition in the end market. So the coordinator is going to work in some work to reactivate the FIP, to do a stakeholder mapping of the most important stakeholders in China specifically. And then I know that some of you were involved in this FIP, so if you would be interested in reactivating the FIP, we have considered to reactivate a FIP, so no SFP, but supporting the reactivation of the FIP from the SR and from SFP, and focus on 2 main activities. First, the stock assessment, to be sure that there is science-based management done in this fishery and in all the fisheries that, as the strategy of the SR is pointing for the future. And secondly, the transparency and traceability of the operators, the fleets and processors involved in the fishery. With these 2 conditions, now the coordinator is going to try to update the work plan and to propose some activities, to propose a funding model, and to propose the reactivation of the FIP. So I'll be in Boston. You don't need to now, or if you want to say something, any of those that were involved in the first launch of the FIP, but I will keep in touch with those that were involved at the very beginning. If you see any interest in continuing sourcing from this fishery, how we could establish criteria for reactivating the FIP. Any comment, any idea, any conversations that you may have had already with the coordinators of the FIP? I had a call this morning also to see what could be done from fishery progress in terms of reactivating the FIP. So this is really, really fresh news. Okay, so I believe is good news if we have some operators engaged in China, and especially the processing and the fleets. But let's see the future of this effort. Again, I wouldn't like to see a FIP launch without possibility of progressing or implementing a work plan. So let's see how we can support this. I don't know if there are questions or comments. So as I said, in Barcelona, we are already trying to organize a Squid event now, as you can imagine, full with Boston, but for Barcelona, there is going to be an event the Wednesday the 26th, probably around noon. But we are just with logistics, with the meeting room and looking at other potential meetings that could be of interest of the participants at the show to not overlap and giving the possibility to all of you to participate. Yes, Katie, I'll share. Yes, I believe that we are going the week after Boston, even maybe by Boston, I may have more information. Okay. No more comments. Questions? You are always very silent, all of you. Okay.
Because you are very clear.
Thank you, Stefano. Okay, so thank you all. See you in a couple of weeks, no, even less. So the meeting in Boston again is going to be on Monday. There will be other meetings if you can attend the meeting, but I will be at the booth and I will be around the show, or if you want to organize a separate meeting, don't hesitate, please just let me know a little bit in advance. And yeah, see you soon and thank you very much. Have a good day.
See you.